At 52 degrees below zero, diesel fuel turns into wax. Steel does not bend anymore. It shatters. And if your engine stops out here, you have less than 20 minutes before hypothermia starts shutting down your organs. This is not a blizzard scene from a movie. This is Tuesday for the men and women who drive the Arctic supply routes of Canada, Alaska, and Siberia. They call these stretches dead zones. No cell signal, no rescue trucks, no warm building for 300 kilometers. So how does anyone survive out here, let alone drive a 50-ton rig through it? Like this video and subscribe now for more of these kinds of stories, because what you are about to see gets more insane the deeper we go. And here is a real question for the comments. Do you think a real trucker would even attempt this route, or is this job simply not worth any amount of money? Say your honest answer below. That is exactly what we are breaking down today. If you have ever watched an ice road trucking show and thought there is no way that is real, you are right to be skeptical. Reality TV cranks up the drama, but the actual survival science behind these routes is more insane than anything a producer could script. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how these drivers keep their engines alive, how their bodies survive cold that kills in minutes, and why one wrong decision on a frozen lake can end a career or a life. This is the real engineering and psychology behind driving through the coldest, most isolated roads on Earth. Here is the first thing most people do not know. Diesel fuel is not one liquid. It is a mix of hydrocarbons, and at around minus 15 degrees Celsius, the heavier ones start crystallizing into wax. This is called gelling, and once it happens, fuel cannot flow through the lines. The engine simply stops. At minus 50, untreated diesel can gel solid in under an hour. If you are actually driving right now, or you have driven anything through real winter conditions, drop a comment with the coldest weather you have ever pushed a vehicle through. Let us see the numbers. So here is the question. If stopping the truck means the fuel gels and you are stranded, what do? You do not turn the engine off. Ever. Ice road truckers run their engines 24 hours a day for the entire haul, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks straight. Fuel stops, sleep breaks, even loading and unloading, engine stays running. Some companies install engine block heaters and diesel-fired bunk heaters just so a truck can be shut down without dying. But even then, drivers treat a cold restart out on the ice like a loaded gun. One failed start with no backup, and a driver is not stranded for an hour. A driver is stranded for a day, and a day at minus 50 is a death sentence without preparation. This is where the engineering gets genuinely wild. Arctic-rated rigs are not just regular trucks with a heater bolted on. They are built inside out for cold. Fuel tanks are wrapped in heating elements. Batteries, which lose up to 60% of their power in extreme cold, are doubled up and insulated in heated battery boxes. Even the tires are a different rubber compound, because standard rubber turns glass brittle and can shatter on impact at these temperatures. Windshield washer fluid needs a special alcohol-heavy blend, because regular fluid freezes into a useless block of ice mid-spray. Here is a stat that surprises almost everyone. Standard steel becomes measurably brittle below minus 40 degrees Celsius. That means a chain, a hitch pin, or a coupling that is perfectly safe in October can snap like a pretzel in January under the exact same load. So drivers are not just fighting the cold. They are fighting a version of physics where the rules of everyday materials quietly change underneath them. And that brittle steel problem is connected to one of the most dangerous decisions a driver makes on this entire route. A call a driver has to make alone, with no one to check the math. We will get to that in a few minutes, because it is the difference between a normal day and a truck sinking through the ice. Quick pause. If this kind of extreme conditions engineering is your thing, hit subscribe now so you do not miss the next one. Then keep watching, because it is about to get more intense. The truck can be engineered. The human cannot, not fully. At minus 50, exposed skin can develop frostbite in under 5 minutes. Without a face mask, Moisture from your own breath freezes your eyelashes shut. Metal touched with bare skin bonds instantly, tearing flesh on contact. This means every single outdoor task, checking a tire, clearing a mirror, inspecting a coupling, becomes a calculated risk. Would you get out of a warm truck at -50 degrees to fix something by hand? Drivers do not have the luxury of waiting for better weather. The delivery has to happen. Northern communities depend on these runs for fuel, food, and medical supplies. If the truck does not arrive, people do not just go without groceries, they can go without heating oil in the middle of winter. That pressure is why so many drivers push limits that would seem reckless anywhere else. Survival here is not about being tough. It is about layered systems, for the body, just like for the truck. Experienced drivers avoid single heavy layers and use multiple thin ones instead, trapping warm air between them. Extremities get separate attention entirely. Heated insoles, mitts rated well below the ambient temperature, and balaclavas that leave only a slit for the eyes. Every truck carries a survival kit that is not optional. Sleeping bags rated to -40 or colder, emergency flares, a satellite communicator, and enough calorie-dense food to last several days. Because here is the brutal truth. Rescue is not measured in minutes out here. It is measured in hours, sometimes a full day, depending on where the breakdown happens. Now here is that decision teased earlier. Some of these routes cross frozen lakes and rivers directly. No bridge. Just ice, thick enough, hopefully, to hold 60,000 pounds of steel and cargo. Drivers use published ice thickness charts, but conditions shift daily. Warmer pockets, moving water underneath. Even the truck's own speed can change how the ice behaves. Here is the part that sounds backwards. Going too slow can be more dangerous than going fast. A truck moving too slowly gives the ice time to flex and crack under sustained pressure. Ice road veterans call this a pressure wave, and hitting the wrong speed can cause the ice to fracture beneath the tires in real time. So drivers thread a needle. Fast enough to outrun the pressure wave, slow enough to react if the ice groans, cracks, or drops beneath them. Radios crackle with speed call-outs between trucks. Nobody stops on the crossing. Nobody. This single stretch, sometimes only a few hundred meters, can be the most dangerous 90 seconds of an entire multi-day haul. So why do people choose this job? Pay is part of it. Arctic hauls often pay several times a standard trucking route, but almost every veteran driver says the same thing in interviews. It is the isolation, the challenge, and knowing that what they are carrying actually matters to real communities waiting at the other end. There is also a strange kind of pride in it. Not everyone can sit behind the wheel for 16 hours in total darkness, watching gauges instead of scenery, and stay calm when the truck starts to feel like the only warm object for 100 miles in any direction. Some drivers describe it less like a job and more like a test they take every single winter, one that most people would fail within the first hour. It is dangerous, it is exhausting, and for a few months every winter, it is one of the last truly self-reliant jobs left in modern logistics. Ice road trucking is not about bravado. It is about respecting a machine and a landscape that will kill a driver the moment attention slips. Every heated battery box, every layered glove, every speed call-out on a frozen river, it is all built on the same principle. Out here, the cold does not forgive mistakes. It simply waits for a driver to make one. And that is really the lesson underneath all of this. Preparation is not paranoia out here. It is the only thing standing between a normal shift and a disaster. If you are an actual driver, ice roads, winter routes, anything close to this, what is the coldest call you have ever had to make behind the wheel? Drop it in the comments. And if you have never driven anything bigger than a car, would you take this job, knowing what it actually costs? Subscribe if you want more of the real engineering behind the world's most extreme jobs.